Can you share the live Facebook link on the WhatsApp so that I can share with my hub members?
Yeah, sure, I can do that. It's just loading right now, and I'll share you the link. Okay, I just shared the link. Okay, the link is actually very, very below of the message because there is the other link that I had from someone's invite. So I'm really, really sorry, actually. So, okay, here we are live on Zoom. Today I have with me our fellow hub members from the region Africa. And so first of all, I would like to introduce myself. I am Sadaha Nisar. I am from Faisalabad Hub in Pakistan. And our hub has taken the initiative that we want to be able to communicate to all the people all around the globe about coronavirus, also known as COVID-19. And we just really hope that we get a more of kind of an insider look into the actual happening and what people are actually, how they are perceiving it. So today I have with me Yan Ju from Lagos Hub. So would you like to introduce yourself first?
All right. So hi everyone. My name is Yonju from the Lagos Hub in Nigeria, and I'm really glad to be here to join my colleagues from Cape Town and Rabat, and really, yeah, I should just say I'm looking forward to hear about updates of what is happening as regards this pandemic in other, regions across the continent also.
Great, thank you. Okay, also we have Aviva from Cape Town Hub. So would you like to introduce yourself, Aviva?
Hey guys, I am Aviwe. I am from the Cape Town Hub in South Africa. And I'm glad, thank you for inviting myself, Yanju, and Leila to join the conversation and just shine a bit of light in terms of what's happening in South Africa and also our continent as a whole.
Thank you so much. Again, also, last but not least, Laila from Casablanca Hub in Morocco. So please introduce yourself.
Morocco. I'm very happy to be part of this live session today because we really want to share what we are happening in our countries, specifically in Africa, how we are managing the situation in all these countries. So yeah, thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you so much. So I'm really glad that you took some time and participated in this initiative. And I really choose to start with Africa because I think like there's not a lot of information about what is happening in Africa in association with the coronavirus. So anyone who would like to start to tell us about the current situation in their country. But before we are starting actually off, I would like to say that we are no experts. So we are just using the figure and facts that we are being provided. And we just try, what we are trying to do is to spread awareness and just support each other. So yeah, so anyone who would like to start with the conversation, the current situation in their country, in their region?
I can go on. I can go ahead first. Okay, so from Lagos, presently in Lagos we have 44 cases total that has been recorded in Lagos, and the first case in Lagos was 2 weeks ago, about 2 weeks ago. An Italian came into the country, and but fortunately, the first case, that's the Italian right now, has recovered. So we have 44 cases totally recorded. We have 2 cases of people that have recovered. So the first case is part of the recovered case. Then we have also one Nigerian that contacted it from the first index case that has recovered also. And as of yesterday, recorded our first death also. So a 64-year-old man that was treating cancer tested positive for the virus, and he died yesterday. So we recorded the first death in Lagos yesterday. So we have 44 recorded cases, 2 recovered, one death presently. So we have 42 active cases total presently. And in Lagos, I think in terms of the response from the government, it is more rapid in Lagos because we have more cases in Lagos. So across Nigeria, we have about 7 states. 7 states have recorded cases, with Lagos being the highest. Next to Lagos is Abuja. Lagos and Abuja. And so across the country, the government have placed a ban on international travels. So there's no travel outside the country. But they still travel within the state. So we still have, within the country, we still have local travels within the country. And also for Lagos State also has some measures that have been put in place because of the fact that we have more cases recorded in Lagos. So in Lagos State, there's been a slight bit of restriction of movement, especially. So quite a number of organizations have implemented work from home for their staff. So I am also working from home.
You said like the first case was discovered like 2 weeks ago, right?
Yes.
So like coronavirus has been like in the news for a while now, and being like spreading pretty fast. So did you had any measures beforehand, like those 2 weeks, like if in case something like this would happen, like was there anything like this that were the government or were the people kind of prepared for this?
Sorry, I didn't get that. Can you come again?
I was asking that you said the first case was 2 weeks ago. So that was like, it's very far behind than the other countries, like for example, European countries or China itself. So is it the case like that you had any measures beforehand, like the 2 weeks before the cases actually was discovered? Like how were the situation then, and were you prepared for something like this?
Okay, so before the 2 weeks, so it took a while before this pandemic actually got to Africa. So it took a while before it got here. So before the first case, I think the challenge was that there was some meat, and there was an assumption that, oh, this thing is probably not coming to Africa, or maybe there's an immunity that the black man has that has made it impossible for it to come down. So I think during the waiting period, before it got here, nothing actively was being done. So it was just like we were playing a waiting game. We're just there were a lot of assumptions, so we were not sure of whether this thing would eventually come down here. So, but since the first case, 2 weeks ago to date, I think this week has been the week where this thing has really been taken serious here. In fact, the president just spoke with all Nigerians just about 2 days ago. That was on Sunday. So until late last week, the response from the government wasn't too rapid. I mean, it wasn't too serious. But now everybody is now really understanding the fact that this is real, and I think it's now getting to everyone that this is real. Now measures are now being put in place actively as it ought to have been.
Okay, all right. Okay, Laila, would you tell us about Casablanca and Morocco, like what's happening up there?
Yeah, so but Casablanca, Morocco in general, so we had until now exactly 143 cases confirmed, and while 5 people recovered from that, and we have also tested a negative, the 643, so tested people. They call the centers because we have some very specific situations here. From the day they announced officially that we have the COVID-19 in Morocco, and we started taking the necessary measures to stop and manage the situation. People are now are facing some fear, so they are staying home and start calling the centers and checking if they have the symptoms, if they are they need to go and test somewhere. So that's a very big problem that we are managing here in Morocco. So yeah, I think fortunately we had some I would say some crisis management or backup plan that was accelerated very, very quick in order to manage the situation. So we closed the borders, we shut down all the airlines activities, nationally and internationally. We have even asked all the businesses and the companies to switch to work from home for the eligible, let's say, the eligible functions or jobs. And we have very strict measures taken this last 3 days in order to really keep people staying home. Because if we want to manage this well, if we want to try to limit all the cases we have and try to go out from this situation in a very with a very positive let's say exactly. So people, they need to stay home, and we need really to convince people to stay home, because even the ones who are now staying home, they are asking a lot of questions. We don't have any visibility. For the first time, they announced it till 20th of April, but now we don't have real visibility about that. So what I really liked is the measures taken in order to switch completely to this mood, even for education or work or economy. I think we're gonna have the possibility to talk about this in this live, but in general, I'm really happy with what we are taking as measures, and with what we are doing in Morocco in order to manage this. So yeah, that's in general the situation where we are.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Aviva, please, you tell us something about Cape Town and South Africa in general.
Okay, so in South Africa, we are currently at 554 cases, and this is the beginning of week 3, since we had our first case. Our government has really responded fast in terms of the cases that have arisen. And I think it was last week Sunday, we had our first presidential address with regards to responding to COVID-19. We've had companies urged to start working from home, encourage social distancing, and that was all of last week. And then starting from yesterday evening, our president again had a national address where he announced that we will be having a national shutdown as from Thursday midnight. So that means that majority businesses are encouraged to shut down. People were not allowed to leave our houses. If you leave your house, it's only for like essential reasons. If you need to go like put fuel in your car, go to the pharmacy, go to the hospital, or go do your grocery shopping. Other than that, there's no movement around allowed for the next 21 days. And this is going to be monitored and enforced by our police services, as well as the National Defense Force, which is our army. Of course, our economy is going to be affected, because if you're telling, for example, a lot of like local street vendors, they won't be able to go outside and trade. So the government has put in quite a few measures in terms of economic support. Yes, it will be challenging. However, I do think that the measures that have been decided by our presidency are really with the best interests of South Africans, and also just to protect or try to minimize more rapid spread, because at the moment, South Africa is the highest infection rate in the SADC region. And it's also just increasing. If you look at the rates at which, for example, China, Wuhan, and Italy, how fast their cases escalated. In their second week, they hadn't recorded as many cases as South Africa. So with that in mind, our government has decided to take very strict measures, but also encouraging things like testing, where now people had to go for voluntary testing if they had traveled, but now there's going to be testing done at a local level for people who have not even traveled because of spread in the local regions. We've also put in place minimal travel, and we've also closed our borders. So we started in terms of closing our borders last week, Sunday. I think the announcement yesterday was just like more extreme travel bans. And we are not allowed to have any people coming into the country. Flights that are coming in, especially from high-risk areas or high-risk regions, will be turned back, won't be allowed into South Africa. So there's I really think our government has done well in how it's responded. And also just reminding people to stay at home the past week. But I think, yeah, at the rate at which it's spreading, extreme measures had to be taken.
Definitely. Thank you. So what I can tell you about Pakistan is that there have been reported like up to 900 cases and more. And the first cases had been discovered in the south, like Karachi, the province Sindh. And it was mostly like what people could observe was like the people who traveled from Iran in the south to Pakistan brought the virus. It's not confirmed, but it's just like what the most people initiate out of the outcome. So yeah, that's currently in Pakistan. The government is dealing with it well. We will talk later about how the government are taking action. So what I would like to know, because obviously a lot of countries, mostly all countries has banned like traveling outside the country. And what is it like about inside traveling the country? Because here in Pakistan, is it like they are like suggesting to the people that they should stop using public transports like trains and buses, but still it's the people who are, I see them on TV, I see them like, people are telling me they are still up there like in masses. So what can you tell me about that, like in South Africa, Cape Town?
So in terms of local travel, because of the lockdown starting from Thursday, South Africans have been prohibited to leave their houses. You can only go out for essential reasons only. And for most South Africans that use public transport, obviously like taxis, which is like our minibuses that majority of our people use to commute, our trains, those are affected as well. However, again, I think it's necessary because of just how many cases have escalated in our country in a very, very, very short space of time. So they're trying as much as possible to minimize that people like use any form of transportation. But if you're not allowed to leave your house, then it's actually something that will be happening at a very minimal rate. However, for those people who are working in essential services, I believe that they will be getting some form of assistance in terms of traveling.
Okay. Laila, what could you tell us about like how are you seeing the people dealing with the situation and about public going outside their homes and at all those public places like malls or I don't know, like what do you see and what do you hear?
Actually, it's the same situation as South Africa, even in Morocco. So the government announced the state of emergency. So no one is allowed to leave his house. It's really for exception of essential reasons. We even got some authorizations, some papers that we need to sign to show them to the authorities to say that we are going to buy our medicines, or we need to, for urgent matters, we need to go out. Or if you have a very essential job and you need to go to your job, you need to have a license from your job that you're going to work and you need to go to work every day. Actually, we got some pictures from Casablanca because it's a very big city, crowded city. And we are having now some pictures on Facebook that really there is no one outside. Really no one outside because it's a serious situation, and we need to go with this and to accept these measures and stay at home in order to limit all the negative impacts. For traveling, the same thing. So no trains are working now. Everything was shut down. So it's a serious matter that we need to address.
Thank you. Yanju. So tell us about like how you are things observing in relation to the public and how they are responding actually to all those bans. We can't hear you.
No?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah. So I was saying, so unlike for South Africa and Morocco, we don't have like a total ban in Nigeria or in Lagos yet. So well, yes, we don't have a total ban yet. What we have is in Lagos State, the government has advised that organizations should allow their staff to work from home. So quite a number of organizations, including the government, the public service, are working from home. But we don't have a total ban yet. People are still moving around a bit. We still have some bit of traffic, but there is consciousness because majority of the private organizations are working from home. So I think a bit of the challenge we have is a lot of the masses. So the people that are doing like the informal trading, like those that are selling in the market, informal. So, there is no strict measure placed yet that is affecting those in the informal sector. So right now, I think we have more of those in the formal sector observing the stay at home, but those in the informal sector are still, outside there with their normal trade. So that's a difference. So I think maybe the government is still, I said we have 44 cases presently. So maybe the government is still a bit reluctant about total lockdown because of the number of cases. But I'm assuming, and I think in some days' time, maybe at worst, maybe by next week, the government will probably have to now, ask for a total shutdown by then, because already, we're hearing some some side rumor or news that in some days' time the government might have to enforce a total shutdown. But right now, it is just those in the private sector that are observing the stay at home. Most of those in the informal sector are still going out, you know. But although it has reduced in terms of. So if you go to a typical supermarkets right now, a lot of the supermarkets are observing social distancing. So a lot of them are you can't have more than 10 people in a supermarket at the same time. So we have people outside the supermarket queuing, um, with observing the required distance between people. Then also, so I forgot to mention this. The government has also said there shouldn't be any mass gathering, so we can have gathering of more than 20 people. So, like on Sunday, most of the churches were online, so most of the churches were closed down. And I mean, interestingly, we had some churches that were a bit stubborn and opened, but we had citizens that we reported them. So we had police visit some of the churches that were opened, and they closed them. So I think it was interesting to know that even the citizens were really eager to ensure that people adhere to what the government said. So that's what we have right now. So we have gatherings that are limited to no more than 20. Supermarkets are really observing the social distancing. Um, I think generally there's a huge awareness. Although we don't have a lockdown yet, we don't have people are still moving, but there's a huge awareness, and everyone is trying to practice social distancing.
That's great. It's great to hear that, and I'm really glad to hear that because what I have been observing is that we don't have a proper lockdown yet, but we are like referred to stay at our homes and just go out if it's necessary. And we should carry our ID cards with ourselves. Like we should just go out for very, very important stuff. But I have it's not it's implemented by the government, but not by the public, by the people here. They are also not really caring about social distance or anything. Like not everybody, but like a lot of the people uh, are still don't have the awareness. Maybe I don't know, and that's really sad to see that because actually uh, these tiny things are actually which make such a huge impact. So I really hope that in the further like few days that or weeks it might have a change. But yeah, it's good to see that your government is like implementing this and it's working for the public as well. So talking about the government, like we have talked about like how they're working and taking actions. So apart from this, like in your economy, Yanju, I would like to continue to talk with you right now. Like how, what changes you can see in the economy? Tell me something about that.
Okay, so first, I think the first major impact that the Nigerian economy is having is the news of the drop in fuel price.
I
So
can't hear
I
you
believe the
properly.
drop in fuel price. You didn't get that? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I said the first major economic impact we have in Nigeria is the drop in fuel price. Did you get that?
It's
The
not proper.
drop.
You sound not proper. Like we can't hear you properly.
Yeah. Okay. Let me see. Is
Can
it
you
is
just
it
check?
better now?
Yeah, it's better. You can
Is
continue.
it better? Okay. So I said so the drop in the crude oil price, the
Mm-hmm.
global oil price drop is the first major impact that Nigeria is having right now.
Mm-hmm.
Nigeria is majorly reliant on oil. That's the Nigerian economy relies majorly on oil. So the drop in oil price is affecting the whole economy presently right now. And
I
I'm
see.
assuming that also the general pandemic is also a factor that has influenced the global drop in oil price. So I think that's the first major impact we're having right now. So also because of most of the organizations from this week started implementing work from home. A lot of the banks and some of the banks have closed down, like some of the branch operations. So I think gradually from this week on, we would begin to see like the impacts more. So from this week, we will begin to see more of the impact on the economy generally here in Nigeria, because I mean, just from yesterday, things just started to slow down majorly from yesterday. So from now, I can't say the impact is not huge yet, because because the major hit started from yesterday. So, but I believe as we get close to the end of this week, definitely the economy would have be gravely hit by this, because most of the supermarkets are also slowing down in terms of the number of people they allow in. In fact, some supermarkets have even closed down for physical sales. So some of them are just doing majorly online delivery. So I'm sure that also would have an impact on the business of quite a number of people in the retail. So I would say that in terms of economically, the major hit we've had is the drop in oil price. And from this week, close to the end of this week, we'll begin to see more of the impact of the the restriction in movement in general.
Okay, great. Sure, we obviously just had started like in Nigeria, and there will be the more in a few weeks about the economy and overall the situation. So Avive, can you tell me about like if there have been any fluctuations, like what you have seen, or like what is very prominent before the virus was present and afterwards in your country?
Muted, unmute. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So can you guys hear me now? It just keeps saying I'm muted and then unmuted.
No,
can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Perfect. Cool. So some of the I think the most drastic changes we're going to start seeing in South Africa are from Thursday. However, there's been a lot of movement towards companies allowing people to work from home, which in South Africa was not something that is very prominent. For people who are like freelancers, that was a bit more common. However, for like formal corporates, it really was something that was not being practiced much. However, in the last week, we've seen a lot of corporates encouraging people to start working from home. So immediately that shift has just, I think, changed the dynamics in terms of how do we view the work environment as a whole? And then also just in terms of our economy, I think from this coming Thursday, we're going to see a definite shift, especially for small businesses and the informal business sector, which is a large number of South Africans, and those are the people, for example, street vendors, who will definitely be affected economically. However, I must say once again, like I think our government has responded so well because they've put together a few like financial assistance or alleviation methods for the next coming weeks, going into months, because we know for many of the small businesses, some of them have had to say they're going to shut down because they can't operate virtually, for example. They don't have that luxury. So it's going to affect in terms of their profit. And then they've also put systems in place with the various banks in terms of their loan repayments, and then also supporting and ensuring that people receive monthly salaries. They've also put in place the temporary employment relief scheme. So that's also going to support small businesses in terms of helping them to keep paying their employees. They've also put together the Solidarity Fund, where different South Africans can actually make financial contributions that are going to help the government in terms of actioning out, tracking cases, going out and assisting people that are affected and people that are actually test positive. We've also had quite a few cash injections from, I think we had 2 billion invested from the private sector to help in terms of fighting COVID-19. And then also we've had the government gave a seed capital of about 150 million to also help with regards to the Solidarity Fund. So as much as one of the things that our president said when he started his speech yesterday was that indefinitely, this is definitely gonna affect our economy. However, they are putting these measures in place to support people, but we would also rather prioritize the health and the safety of South Africans at this moment.
Okay. You told me just right now that there are a lot of people who are funding and supporting the government with, and I want to know, like, is it like the amount from the common people, like how are they supporting, like apart from like funding? Do you understand the question?
Yeah. So we've had quite a large, I think the philanthropy or the charity sector as a whole in South Africa it's common, it's something that's common in South Africans. So there's a lot of people reaching out and giving towards charities and people going out and assisting in ways that they can. So we've had that in the past week where you've got nonprofits or on the ground, grassroots level organizations that have been helping out from a ground level in terms of helping with food, assisting people in terms of getting them the necessary hygiene tools like your sanitary towels, your hand sanitizers, your hand wipes. So you've got a lot of on the ground movement, and that's why specifically when our president mentioned the Solidarity Fund, he also said it's an open platform where normal, regular South Africans, you and I, can give towards this fund. You do also have people that, for example, we've got people in our hub that are doing sanitary drives during this time to help young women who won't be able to go out and get those things for themselves, getting hand sanitizers to people that are in shelters, and also just a lot of like inquiry from the business sector in terms of how can they financially assist us to help make a difference in terms of the lives of regular, normal South Africans. So there's quite a big move, and I'm suspecting in the next few weeks there's definitely going to continue a lot of South Africans reaching out, because I think that is just the culture and the nature of our country.
Yeah, that's super. Definitely, I have observed like many people all around the world are supporting each other, and that's something really nice to see actually. So, Lila, what can you tell us about the economy in Casablanca, means Morocco overall?
Okay, I'm going to start first with the negative impact, because it's we are in a crisis. So of course, when we close the borders, when we are in emergency alert, so there is it's a sort of shutdown for the businesses, and especially for the small and medium businesses, local street vendors, people who are working by their own, like freelancers, startups, very small businesses who are willing to work with companies where, for example, the budgets or all their activities were canceled because we are in a crisis. I would also say that in this kind of crisis, we just realized that we need to work quickly on ourselves, on our work mode, on our transformation journey, because we had to work on a backup plan very quickly. So some projects were not really prioritized in the past, like the digital transformation, for example, even for education or for companies. And here we are working on that on a rush time, and we are implementing this quickly because that's the only option we have. So I think it's really a transformational journey, and we need to go through this. Sometimes we need to go through crisis in order to be in a better situation, unfortunately. But yeah, I think we can have some positive side from this situation. We have also worked on a solidarity fund. It was initiated by the government, by the biggest institutions in Morocco. Even banks, they collaborating, and they joined with some amount of money. All the biggest companies implemented in Morocco as well, they joined. And this fund is dedicated first for the health system, because we need to increase our budgets in order to face all this crisis. And it's also dedicated to people who lost their jobs, in order to give them some amount of money, because they have some essential needs and they need to cover this. Also, we have something that I learned and that I saw on the social media. We have some initiatives of young people, in order to raise awareness about the crisis. They started some projects online in order to, in our local languages, so they can raise awareness of all the Moroccans connected, and try to explain what are the measures, the preventive measures shared by the World Organization of Health. What are the hygienic instructions that we need to follow in order to avoid being in this situation. And also, I saw some very nice initiatives of these young people talking in a very simple way why we don't need to leave our houses in this situation, why we need to stay home, what's the risks behind this. And I was just thinking, all those initiatives, it could be done by the government, because actually it's a part of their responsibility. So here I can see the real solidarity of our country, of our people. So sometimes something really can happen in a very quick, like in 2-3 days, they can implement all this in social media and for free, because they are doing it just to raise awareness of people. So in general, we have some industries who are really impacted negatively by this crisis, and specifically the event industry and communication, because everything now is shut down. I know some friends who are working in this industries, and they don't know what's they don't have any visibility. They don't know where exactly and when we're gonna go back to work, and we're gonna go back to the normal life. So yeah, we have some negative side, but we have, as I said, some positive side, and we need to work on this in order to have some better results.
Yeah. Okay, I just saw we lost Yanju. I hope he came back. Okay, I have a question, Laila. You said like there are a lot of young people like implementing or starting initiatives to provide awareness amongst the people. So you think there is any kind of spreading of misinformation, because that's something what we all are witnessing too in this current crucial situation. So can you tell me something about misinformation or what you have experienced?
If I understood your question, we're gonna talk about the misinformation, maybe the fake news.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's a whole topic that we are trying to tackle also in parallel in this crisis, because maybe I saw something posted on Facebook that they said that 50% of Moroccan people, they're gonna die only because of the fake news, not about the COVID-19, because really we're facing a huge amount of information every day on our feed on social media. So you wake up in the morning, and you're gonna open your Facebook or Instagram or your WhatsApp, even WhatsApp. We receive vocal messages. We receive every day some videos, and they are completely wrong. They're saying the wrong information, and we have people who are really infected. We're trying to raise awareness about this, and we saw a very nice initiative called Tahaqqaq, which is in Arabic. The mission of this initiative is to try to check the information before sending it and posting it on Facebook. So every time you hear something in Morocco about any measures taken, any new information, any maybe a decision about the COVID-19 in Morocco, you can go to this Facebook page, and you're gonna find the fake news and versus the right information. Because sometimes I'm just thinking to myself, I'm just saying, who are behind this? Because it's every day and every time it's automatically and once we have the information, we have the fake news. So I'm just trying to figure out. I'm facing a huge amount of information, and that's really very heavy to support all of this. And it's also very dangerous for the mental health, because we are already stressed. We don't have visibility at what time we're gonna leave our houses and go back to the normal life. So I'm not willing to deal with the fake news every day. That's why personally, I actually am limiting the time where I'm going to the social media every day, because I'm working from home. So I just I don't have any notification now on my phone, nothing. If I want to have the information, so in the morning, I go, I check, I have some specific sources. I go to the official sources, like the website of the Minister of Interior, or the Minister of Health in Morocco, or the World Health Organization. And in the afternoon, or maybe at the end of the day, once I'm done with my work, I can go and I can check. But I don't want to receive anything on my phone, because it's really heavy to manage all this. It's stressing.
Definitely. I think misinformation leads to hysteria, and that leads to chaos. So, Aviva, do you have anything to say about like misinformation or fake news?
Yeah, well, fake news is, I think, with the power of social media, it's everywhere. It's something that we can't necessarily control. However, like Layla said, we can manage. And what we've started doing in terms of, number one, the Cape Town Hub, we have started also sharing accurate information from the National Department of Health, as well as resharing any information from the World Economic Forum, as well as the World Health Organization. And then we've also translated all the information that has been published by the National Department of Health. We're also doing that in terms of my organization at Waves for Change. We're also only resharing credible sources, credible information from credible sources with our employees. And then just in terms of my own personal well-being, like Layla said, I'm also just no notifications. I'd rather not get any information from like Facebook or Twitter. I'm going only onto the National Department of Health's website. There's also a WhatsApp, just like the World Health Organization has a WhatsApp that you just text hi to. Yeah. They respond. Our National Department of Health in South Africa has the same thing. And those are the only sources that I'm using just to avoid the fake news. I try as much as possible not to listen to anything other than those sources.
Yeah, definitely very difficult with all the sources around you. Because I also experience like in different WhatsApp groups, or I don't know, on Instagram, when people are messaging you or putting that even in their stories, like that's something that's not acceptable. Definitely we should work on that, because I even see my own mother, like she's coming up with some news and telling me, Sudaha, look at this. You know, that's crazy, because that's just making her panic. And I don't want it, because that leads to chaos, like I said. So Ayanju.
Yeah. Sorry, I can't hear you. I cannot hear you. I cannot hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Yeah, it was okay, I don't know. Yeah, we were talking about misinformation and fake news, which has been provided mostly by the social media. So what is your experience still now?
Yeah, so even here in Nigeria also, I mean, every minute, every second, you get a broadcast of different stories of suspected cases, because of the panic and the fear, quite a number of people creating different stories of suspected cases that are not confirmed. Sometimes you get a broadcast of some drugs that you can use. sometimes you get broadcasts of some fruits or some food that can help to prevent contacting the virus. So yes, there's the spread of various unsolicited messages that are not confirmed, that are not true, that are going around. And for us at the Lagos Hub, we've taken it upon ourselves to really address this, because we believe the first major challenge that the people in general can have is getting information and news that are not true. And that is something that we really need to address. And that's something we are working on addressing as a hub. And part of how we're addressing is we're ensuring, to put out verified information from the Nigeria Center for Disease and Control and from the Federal Ministry of Health here. So we're helping to amplify, the information that the government is giving out there. We're using our platform to also, share those information to people, letting them know, the true situation of things. And luckily, we have quite a number of organizations that are also very much, interested about ensuring that fake news, that we're able to stop fake news, and we're able to share more genuine and factual information out there to ensure that people are not being misled. So I think, luckily, yes, like I said, we have quite a number of other organizations that are doing that. And just 2 days ago, we engaged the Center of Disease here in Nigeria, and we engaged them and asked them that, is there any way we could support them? And part of what they said was that they need us to help as a help, as Global Shaper, that they need us to help to amplify whatever information they put out there, especially to young people also in the States. And we've taken that responsibility upon ourselves to ensure that we use every available means. Also, part of the strategy we're also doing is that we are sending, so we also partner with
Hello? Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear it.
Yeah, so we're engaging the telco to also send out broadcast messages to quite a number of Nigerians. So by tomorrow, we'll be sending out broadcast message to about 20,000 people. We'll be sending out message in language that they will understand. Just passing some central information, like the need for them to wash their hands, the need for them to keep the social distancing that the government is talking about. Yeah. So those are some of the measures we're embarking on to ensure that we're able to debunk a lot of the fake messages that's coming in. Also, as a hub, we've also encouraged members not to just forward messages. So before you forward any message, think about it. Will this message will this influence whoever I'm sending it to? Will this influence their positive? Is this message carrying any positive vibe around it? Is this message, am I sure, have I been able to confirm this message I'm forwarding? So we're also encouraging global shapers in the Lagos Hub not to just forward messages all around, because even within our hub, a lot of messages are flying in and out. And we encourage people, please don't forward every message that comes to your phone. Look at the message and be sure that this message I'm about to send is verified. So when we want to share any message about the case, we ensure that it's message that is verified by the government, so that we just don't spread around any panic. Because at the initial stage, like last week at the early stages, because this is unusual, so quite a number of even our hub members complained about the fact that the information overload is creating anxiety and creating fear for them. In fact, some people deliberately stayed away from social media because of all the information that we're getting. It was creating a sense of fear. It got to the extent that when you have slight headache, you think you have the virus. When you cough a bit, you think you have the virus. So I mean, it was becoming a real mess. So everyone, the anxiety was high. So we had to speak to ourselves in the hub and say, okay, guys, let's stop spreading unnecessary messages. Let's make sure we are spreading only the message that is valid. And even alongside the negative news, we also deliberately were sharing positive messages. Where sometimes I will share some comic relief, with members. Just share some messages that would drop the anxiety, of all members. And I think in general, this is what people should be doing. Let's try to distance ourselves away from a lot of the negative messages, because it's too much. I mean, like every second is a breaking news, another case, breaking news. Let's try to feed ourselves with some news that also gives us some positive vibes.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely difficult to distinguish between, because I feel like social media on the one hand can be very useful for providing and spreading awareness, but on the other hand, those fake news. So there is no balance anymore. And so one should really consider, just before anything, like processing in your brain and saying, yeah, that's right, just think about it, rethink, just look at the sources. You really have to be careful when believing in those messages. So I would like to get back to Laila, because before you said that a lot of things have been switched to online platform.
Yeah.
Like all around the world, that's the thing. Like in the employment sector, like people are encouraged to work from their homes through like platforms like Zoom or other meeting platforms, and children have been provided with online classes and matters like that. So can you just go a bit into depth and tell us about like how it is happening right there at your place?
Yeah, sure.
How are people coping with that?
So about the situation now, how the government is managing the situation in Morocco. If I want to start, I'm going to start with the education. Schools are closed, so the students, universities as well. So even kids and students in universities, they are working from home. They are studying from home. The first solution they did for students in a rush time, it was class on TV. So they managed to get some teachers on the TV, and they dedicated one channel, Moroccan channel, in order to give the lessons online. So every day there is a program that was for 1 week. And then the schools started working on their own lessons, and they published them. They managed to deploy all of this on online platforms that was dedicated for free from some companies, IT companies like Microsoft and so on. We also heard about students in primary schools. They are using Microsoft Teams as a tool to connect with students and to connect with teachers and have an online class. And that's really amazing. That's why I said at the beginning that sometimes we need to go through some very critical situations in order to figure out and to find the best tool and the best things to adopt. So yeah, in education, it was stuff like this. For work, if you are working with a multinational company, there is no problem, because by default, you have your laptop, you have your mobility tools in order to work from anywhere, anytime you want. But if you are working in a national company, if you're working in a bank, if you're working in any other industry, a Moroccan company, the work from home is not common in Morocco. It's not really something that we used to adopt. And in this situation, all the companies, they needed to switch to this, to the work from home, because we were prohibited to leave our houses in this state of emergency. So they figure out to do this in a rush, and sometimes you're going to find people who just went for leave, for the annual leave, because it's critical situation. They cannot work from home, or they don't have the tools to work from home. And for the companies who managed to do this, they did it. But we need really to learn from this situation, because we cannot wait every time to be in a crisis to adopt something. No, sometimes we need to think about this before and to prepare it, because first it's costly. It's really expensive when you deploy something in a rush, and you don't do everything the way they should be done. So in order to manage this, it's a very good point. But in order to get in a better situation, we need to go through all the transformation journey. And for companies who are working, for example, in a very critical industries like hotels, tourism, they completely closed. they're not working at all because we close the borders. We don't have tourists, so the activity is down 100%. And I heard about a lot of people who left. They sent them because they don't have any activity for the moment, and they're not willing to switch to work from home because they are not eligible for this kind of work mood. So in general, I think the situation is for the Moroccan companies, it was managed the way, like in a good way. I'm gonna say the in a bad way. No, I'm happy because we reacted this way, but I hope that we can learn from this kind of situations in order to do things better after that. Yeah.
I have a question if I can ask. You said like we should be more prepared for adapting these things and we should like have them beforehand. So you think like the current situation, everything is switching from the manual to the digital. You think that will have like in the future, it will remain this way? Like what do you think regarding this? What it kind of an impact will have on the future?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question. I didn't hear the last part of the question. I missed that.
I asked you, do you think like the way we are dealing right now with the situation, like everything is switching from the manual, like from going to school, going to work to like being at home and taking those online classes, working through apps. You think that this will remain for the future like this? You think the people will adapt the thing, or you think it's just like for the current situation right now?
I think there will be before and after the COVID-19 situation in all around the world. And for Morocco, I believe 100%. There is no way to come back to the old method. There is no way. It's really a very good lesson for us to understand that we need to adopt this style of work, and we need to go through this transformation journey. It's just a confirmation that everything can work, and it works. We deploy this in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, we managed to have teachers online. We managed to have lessons online. We managed to have the kids studying online. We managed to have people working from home. And those people, they never imagine or dream about working from home. And it works. So there is no way to come back to the old methods. It's the first step in order to go through this journey and try to develop more and more, because it's time to go and to join the digital area. For the economic side, I heard about something like the mobile payment is gonna be deployed officially in this situation, because we need to limit the contact from the vendors and the people who want to buy for essential needs. They want to buy something, so they can pay through mobiles, and that's amazing. So there is no way to come back and to say no, that was for the crisis and now we're gonna go. No, there is no way. I think it's gonna work, and people will adopt this. The example of my father, I'm always sharing this example. My father, the first time I convinced him to use the Uber application in order to get a taxi, he was not convinced. One experience, and after that, he's really loyal to this service. So he's every time asking me, "Oh, it's easy. It's the same thing. If we're gonna use the mobile payment app, if we're gonna use the studying online, if we're gonna use the work from home, I think it's going to be really easy for us to go through this process and to look for other and better tools for our economy."
Yeah, sure. The human by nature wants everything much easier. So this implementation is definitely easy to impose into our daily lifestyle. Avive, what would you like to say about the switch from the manual to the digital?
I fully agree with Leila. I feel like we can never go back to business as usual. It's the same with the South African government. We're encouraging more South Africans to make use of business banking apps, make use of shopping online. Companies that have never worked online are working online. So I agree with Leila. This is really going to encourage the South African economy to start taking advantage of technology, to start taking advantage of digital economics, because for a long time, as Africa, as the African continent, but we've used it for very minimal reasons when it comes to impact. You know, we've got a lot of South Africans that are on WhatsApp, that are on Facebook, but are not necessarily using the digital tools that we have to innovate, to transform the way we do business, the way we bank, the way we interact with each other. So I definitely think that, just as Leila said, the time is now for us to make use of digital economies. We definitely can't let this moment pass us by. And we need to just make use of our minds and how creative we can be as Africans in terms of problem solving. And I think there definitely can't be a turn back from here. We must just make use of the technologies. And it's interesting, something that Leila said, that all these changes are now like being enforced within a very short space of time, whereas before, there's certain things that it was like, no, it can't be done. No, we don't have the budget. But it's crazy that right now in crisis time, we're actually enforcing all these things that we said are not possible. So it's been very interesting for me. And I think if we let this moment pass us by and just look at it as crisis mode, then we will have lost out. I think this is a great opportunity for us to learn. It's also a great opportunity for us to decentralize a lot of the institutions and the systems that have been driving the economy in terms of Africa. So I think we definitely need to take advantage of this moment. There's so much for us as the African continent to actually start being players in terms of the economic discourse and innovating. And so I think there can't be a way back from here. I fully agree with Leila. We just need to capitalize on this moment. We need to encourage it in terms of our young people, and we need to encourage innovation.
Yeah. Sure, you both are definitely right, and I agree with this. When I had my last live session, I was with our fellow hub in Beijing, Troy. He told me about that one word in Chinese that means that's waging. I don't know if I pronounced that properly or not. So it is made up of two words. It says wei, it says time of crisis, and jing, time of opportunity. And you know, it made sense to me, like regarding like we were talking about the technology and the digital stuff. So definitely, yeah. So, Yanju, what do you have to say about like the switch?
Well, I think it's very interesting to see, you know, the move to digital. Yes, I don't think everything would move back to business as usual. Definitely, I think there's going to be a big change after this whole pandemic ends. I think this would greatly influence, you know, our culture, especially in terms of, for example, in terms of the banking space, in terms of the payment space. I mean, people, you know, will not get exposed to, you know, new ways of doing things that they've never thought could have happened before. I mean, I imagine that some organizations that never, you know, thought their staff could work from home have no choice but to work from home now. And definitely this would become a habit. I mean, this means it's possible. I mean, what this even means is that for organizations that, you know, probably in the past have the possibility of working from home, but is not predominant. I mean, what we're going to see is that after this, we probably have some organizations where working from home will be the predominant thing. So maybe some organizations will introduce 3 days work from home, 2 days work in the office. I mean, I think after this pandemic, we'll be seeing, you know, initiatives like that. We'll be seeing, you know, companies, you know, coming up with such initiatives. I think that's probably the good side of all these that is happening. You know, the possibilities that is opening up. You know, people are now seeing that, oh, it's possible for us to actually do some of these things that we have to do physically. It's possible for us to, you know, move it to the digital space, and probably maybe, you know, things are ever getting done better than it is before. Then also for education, but I think for Nigeria, even though I think most of the schools are not yet, open to leveraging the digital platforms we have for education. I think for us here, most of the schools pretty much just took the holiday off. But I think some of them have used this opportunity to expose themselves to the digital platforms that they can use. So, for example, my younger brother, the school, sent me an email of all the assignments they want him to do during this holiday. I think that's a plus. Prior to now, they probably wouldn't have thought about sending assignments via the email and all that. So yes, so I agree with what Leila and Aviwe have said. There would be a change. It won't be business as usual. Quite a number of sectors have been affected by this, and they've been exposed to what can happen digitally. Even the age brackets that seem not to be digital savvy. So, for example, a lot of our parents seem not to be digital savvy. A lot of those from 50 years upward, there seem to be the reluctance they have to using the digital platform. But right now, nobody has a choice. Everybody, you need to, try. I mean, a friend was telling me about the fact that his mom had to use Uber, and she had to use Uber because she wanted to be the only one in the vehicle. And so, I mean, she had to do that because of what happened. And so quite a number of people have been exposed to, to the digital platform. And I think it's good. And I don't think we'll return to business as usual. So I think this would greatly influence our economy forward. And also for the those in the tech space, for those that have enabled this platform, I think this would also help to optimize a lot of the spaces. So I think this would help companies like Google to optimize a lot of the platform they have that people are using right now. A lot of the digital company who, I'm sure would have introduced new features that'll make it better they'll make it better for people to be able to use their platform and if we use it better. So I think it's on both sides. So for the side of the consumers and for the side of the technology people, I think this also offers them the opportunity to optimize the platforms and the products, to come up with new features that will make even using the platform even better. So I believe by the end of this pandemic, we would have seen a great change on the product side, on the technology side, and would have seen a great change in terms of the behavior of people. Also, people would now be willing, to take up, a lot of these digital initiatives, and I think it will even help in addressing the problem we always have with meetings. So now before you call a physical meeting, I'm sure people will think digital first. So when you want to call up any meeting, you think twice. Do they need to be available physically for us to discuss? If no, let's do it digitally because we were doing it before. So yes, there won't be business as usual from now on.
Yeah, sure. It shows that we have actually so much more opportunities and we just recognize them when we are forced to. So let's see. Okay, so Laila, I would like to continue with you and I would like to know how far these changes had an impact on your life, like from your daily lifestyle to routines and anything specific you have observed for yourself or anything in your surroundings?
Yeah, if we're gonna talk about the impact for the personal life, first, the first impact is on our mental health first, because we are staying home every day and we're not allowed to leave. We have friends living alone. They are not living with their parents and their families. We have some friends who are they were traveling and they come back and they were not allowed to travel to their parents' cities because they needed to stay home, and that's a really critical situation. And we say that people can just they want to connect more, they want to have video calls, they want to see each other. Before it's really the first time for our generation. That's the first time we are living such crisis. So yeah, we used to leave, we used to go out, we used to work together, we used to have physical meetings, we used to take coffees together. So now I can see some initiative from the global shippers in other countries, they start doing virtual coffee time or tea time virtually on Zoom, and in order to see each other and discuss. And that's the first thing. The second thing, it's about our habits will change. Of course, because we are staying home, we're not going out every day to do our shopping and to buy the essential needs. We're going to have people who will start shopping online. So I think that's one of the things that we need to really observe. This kind of industries and businesses that can really be developed in this situation. I think I've seen a lot of, in Morocco, I've seen a lot of businesses, online businesses, who start doing their communication on Instagram and Facebook, and they have some very straight to the point messages. Don't leave your house. We're gonna deliver this to you, to your house, and we're gonna respect the hygienic instructions. So you will not be in contact physically with the delivery man. They will put it in a plastic, and it's with the sanitizer or something like that, and you're gonna pay online. And you open your door, and you're gonna find your product. So that's one of the things that the changes we are living now in this crisis. I saw also some initiatives to try to organize some activities online. And that's one of the things I would like to share with you. All the Moroccan hubs in Morocco, we started working on an online campaign in order to help people to forget this crisis, to stay home and try to find any other things to do instead of thinking about the crisis itself, because it's already stressing. So the activities we're thinking about something that we can do virtually, like we can connect on Zoom and we can watch a movie together. We can have a discussion. We can have a discussion about another topic completely. We can have some collaborations between hubs. We can talk about our project. And in this situation, how we're going to manage our project, how we can work together. So that's one of the things we are planning to do. But the main thing that's for the people who are now living with their families, with their parents, that's really a great opportunity for us to reconnect together, because we used to work in a very hectic life rhythm of life, because we work from 8 to 8 and we have our activities outside and we have our workout, we have everything outside. We used to stay outside most of the time, and once at home we don't spend enough time with our parents and family. So that's the great opportunity, because we are taking our meals together. We are respecting some things. We're living together, but in another I would say in another picture. And we are trained also to do some activities together, and that's great. That's really something nice. So yeah, that's in general. That's the kind of changes that I've seen here in Morocco.
Yeah, definitely. We have now a lot of more time, and a lot of people don't know how to consume that time. So there is a question what to do. So yeah. Yeah, Aviva, could you tell me something about this?
Yes, it's so crazy. I feel like COVID-19 is such a double-edged sword in that there's so much pain right now, but it is insane. Some of the things we've been advocating for so many years, things that we have been speaking about for so long, are just happening in the blink of an eye. Layla spoke about habitual change. We've noticed across the world, just in terms of climate, like how it has impacted like our response to climate change, how it is forcing us as human beings to say, you know what, we can shut down and actually work from home. Everybody doesn't have to drive. Everybody does not have to order out. There's certain things that right now it's like, we've been speaking about this stuff. We've been trying to advocate for it. And it looked like it was too difficult to do. And yet right now, in this moment, it's like all the impossibilities are out the door. So that for me is very interesting about this moment. And And I think like what Layla said, just in terms of how we build relationships, we are living in a world where globalization is our norm. And before, it was so difficult to engage with family members, to stay in touch with loved ones that are maybe working in a different country. However, we're noticing how all those walls that I think with our human or limited human imagination, we thought were impossible. And yet now, I think in the past week, I've been able to have more coffee with people I've been postponing and say, okay, we're going to have coffee dates, we're going to have lunch together. But in the last, just in 1 week, I've been able to engage with friends, with family in a way that I have not before. And I think also we've freed ourselves of unrealistic human expectations that we can physically meet. And realizing that, you know what, relationship is not just in like physical meetings or physical presence, but that we really can be a people and be united regardless of distance. So that is also interesting. And I'd love to see how we cultivate that more and free ourselves of unrealistic expectations in the midst of the world that we're living in. And also in terms of how we conduct business. It's very interesting to see, again, the shift, like Yandra spoke about, the shift immediately in terms of more companies saying, okay, we can adapt, work online. These were conversations that I know for a lot of people, they've been trying to push for, and it's been conversations that no one wanted to touch because it seemed like if you work from home, you won't work. But we've seen productivity for certain people has gone up so much just in the last week of them working at home. It's just amazing. That's what I'm saying. It's crazy because it's a double-edged sword. It's such a difficult time, but it's such an interesting time as well, because all the impossibilities that we were told about are suddenly like not mattering. People are finding ways to innovate and make things work. And that for me is very, very interesting. And I also am finding like what Yandra said in terms of age gaps and their response to technology. Again, we've seen such a shift in less than 2 weeks in South Africa. Older generations are more willing to get online. They're more willing to transact online. They're more willing to have business online. They're more willing to have conversations online, keep relationships online. So that is also interesting to see how literally all the stuff that we thought were impossible are actually just a mindset. And maybe a time of crisis has been critical in terms of teaching us that, you know what, in order for us to really operate in a digital world, in a digital economy, we have to unlearn old habits. And it's been incredible in just 2 weeks what has happened in South Africa. And I actually can't wait to see how we actually, again, capitalize on this moment. How do we take it further? How do we allow young people's voices to be heard? How do we invite the older generation into conversations when we speak about STEM, when we have conversations around innovation? I'd love to see how we take that further. And I'm really proud of how we've all just gotten on board and how we've just come together as a human race. That is really incredible. And I'd love to see how we make it sustainable. And also for our planet. That's very, very important. If we must just keep looking at how much the changes we've been forced to make have impacted our planet. I'd love to see how we sustain some of these changes, to see how we can really start to take care of our environment a little bit more, and see how, you know what, the digital world is probably that way.
Yeah, you were talking about climate change and our Earth. So I would like to mention a picture, maybe all of you have seen the picture of Venice, where there are swans back into the rivers. Like maybe you've seen that. So can you give me a quick review about what you think about that? Because I think it shows us something and we should learn from that. What do you think?
That blew my mind. I think when I first saw that image, like I was like, oh, flip, my gosh. So maybe nature needed this. And we've been neglecting it. You know, we've been so, we've just been focusing on ourselves. And again, I feel, again, COVID-19 has brought humanity back to being humans. We've started caring for each other again. We've started being intentional about checking up on other people, but also looking like, okay, what the heck is going on in terms of the environment? And just seeing those images, and also seeing like some of the space photos that have been published in the past week or two, just in 2 weeks, to see how much air pollution has dropped. That is mind-blowing, because we've been having this conversation, and we've been seeing the Friday protests from young people, and we've been saying all the stuff that young people are asking for cannot be done. And in less than 2 weeks, nature has forced us to stand still and listen. And again, like, I think we need to just look at this moment, and as young leaders, as people all across the world, we need to see, how do we capitalize on this moment? How do we make it sustainable?
Yeah, sure. I feel like the nature kind of got in offensive regarding this, and maybe that break was much needed. Obviously, it's a bad thing that it has to be like this, because people are literally dying due to the virus. But there are positive aspects of this too, obviously. Definitely. Laila, you would like to have to say something on this picture?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I agree with you, ladies, because it's impressive. When I saw the pictures as well on social media, I was just saying, oh, maybe it was really much needed, this kind of situation, so we can see everything in the order. Maybe nature is just reminding us that there is something to respect, and we need to give this space for these animals as well. We've seen pictures in Morocco, also in the forest, a lot of places. And yes, I think this topic is very important as well. And we need to give we need to pay enough attention in everything we are doing, in our business, in education, in policies, and everything. We need to give this attention to sustainability and to the environment in general. Some of the actually the most common argument that every time we are talking about climate change and sustainability, the most common argument is okay, but it's expensive.
Yes, definitely.
When we go deeply and we discuss and we analyze things, it's not expensive. Of course it's not. But the idea is, when we don't want to do something, we say that it's expensive. But when we go and when we check and when we see some initiatives, some young people working, I've even seen some startups working on sustainable business models, and they are succeeding in that. Why not? Why not? So maybe this also this will bring this topic to the table. Because after the crisis, we need to discuss a lot of topics. We need to go back and to analyze all what we have done and how we manage this. So in order to make all these elements in the order, but climate change, sustainability, that's the word. Yeah, we need to bring it to the table.
Definitely. I think there are a lot more topics that have to be discussed. And I feel like even though this topic, it's so much expanded, actually, there are so many things we could right now be talking about, but it's like no one can imagine actually what kind of impact these things, this current situation will have on our future, but definitely we are learning a lot. Ayanju, what would you say about like the climate change and the picture that I mentioned? Like, do you have seen any before and after comparisons pictures, and what's your opinion about that?
Yeah, I also saw the picture in Italy of I think the water of the lake, how clean it was. And I even saw a picture of, I think somewhere in South America, where, the monkeys, were on the road. Yeah, so I mean, the first thought was the same expression that Leila and Aviwe shared. I was like, whoa, the head actually wanted this. And it seems like this is the way of the head having its way. I mean, it's interesting because, like, I don't know if you've seen this image that has like the globe, and it says Earth under repair. So it seems like the Earth just wants to break and it wants to repair itself. And this brings to memory. There is a campaign that Accenture and the Global Shapers community have been running together, called the Responsible Leadership. I'm sure you guys remember when we were at the Shapers Summit in Geneva last year. Accenture spoke about the responsible leadership, and I think this just reminds that we've not been responsible leaders to the Earth. I think we've probably we've been handed over this earth to nurture and maintain it, but it seems we've not managed it well enough. And those pictures actually brings this to our remembrance, letting us know that, guys, we need to be responsible leaders in the way we manage the earth that it's under our care. And I think this is very, very important. I mean, I'm happy that we are saying this, and but I'm sure after this whole pandemic, we're all going to come together and have those discussions that we've been shying away from. Now, I mean, it's like we don't have evidence. We have evidence to this noise that we've been making about before. Now, I mean, we can confidently come and say, guys, see, you saw the before and you can see the after. This is what happened when we were on break for 1 month or 2 months. It's easy for us to not drag the conversation. I think, we should just leverage this. We should take advantage of this opportunity, I'm looking forward to all the events that will happen after now. I'm looking forward to, event like Davos and all the big events where we'll have the opportunity to be on the table, with the world leaders. Like I can imagine, because we are well armed right now. We have the ammunition to speak well right now, because I mean, we can easily, nobody can say, oh, this is not real, this is not happening. No, we've all seen, the effects that all our activities is having on the heart. It's clear to everybody now. So I'm happy that this is happening. I think we should just leverage this very well. After this whole incident, we should all bring this to the table and let's have this discussion. How do we become responsible leaders to this earth? How do we, make things better afterwards? I mean, I think it will be sad if, after the whole pandemic, we now go back to, I think it's Venice in Italy. We now go back to take the picture of the lake. We now go back and we see that it has returned to what it used to be. I think it will be sad. And those are the kind of images that, we should take. So let's take the images of what it is now when there is, when the earth is on holiday, and let's see what it will return to. I think those are, the conversation starters. Guys, see what it was when we were holiday. See what we have turned into. I mean, I think it's nobody will be able to deny it. I think that alone speaks for itself. Yeah, that alone, should make us to be conscious about, taking those hard decisions that we've refused in the time past to take. So I think for sustainability, I'm seeing a good turnout after all this. Hopefully, I think the discussions will now happen. I think the governments will not have a choice but to take the necessary step. I think organizations will not have a choice but to take necessary step. Aviwe is my cheerleader, but really, yes, I think yes, everybody will definitely brace up and take up the necessary step. And I just want to charge us. Let's not stop. Let's take advantage of this as global shapers, as young people, as change makers. I think we've been given the ammunition for us to be able to speak louder. So let's take advantage of this and make the noise and engage the leaders and let them know, okay, we have to take the deliberate step. We need to be responsible leaders. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that I would be wrong if I would say we all three agree with you, like definitely. And what I would also like to know about you, Janju, is like what kind of personal impact did the whole situation had on you?
Yeah, I mean, this is an unusual time. We've not all been at home like this before, so it's like so last Saturday we had our first virtual meeting as a hub in the Lagos hub, and during the meeting, every member was just sharing their concerns about the fact that we've not done this before. We don't know how we're going to go through this, and I also feel the same way. I mean, I've not really done this before, and I mean, I'm not going to be able to see a lot of my friends physically. I'm used to seeing people every day. I'm used to seeing them every day. Will this have a strain on my relationships? I don't know yet. These are still the early days. I think this might last 2 months or so. So I don't know how this will affect my relationships. But I think there is this bit of anxiety. There's this bit of awkwardness. There's this bit of I don't know what next will happen. So I'm trying right now. I'm trying to listen to credible advices on how to go about this. So, for example, this coming Saturday, we've in the hub we've decided to have periodic check-in. So we'll be our next check-in will be on Saturday, and we'll be having a professional psychiatrist come speak to us about our mental health. So I'm looking forward to such opportunity to hear from experts on how to manage this stage, how to ensure that our mental health is in the best state as it can. So I'm really it's an unknown period, and I'm trying to tread carefully, and also what I'm doing is trying to reach out to a lot of my friends, trying to reach out to hub members, bridging the gap by doing random calls to people. I think that will help also maybe when even opportunity like this, I'm really excited and happy about this call we are having. This is also helping, and maybe this is also an opportunity to get to even speak with for example, members of the global shepherds community that are not only in Nigeria. What this means is that I can easily talk to a global shepherd in Pakistan. I can use this opportunity to engage global shepherd in the North America. So this is just coming to me. I think this is one deliberate step I will take now. I will use this opportunity of this digital world, to engage, more people from all over the globe, leverage the global shepherds community, reach out to more global shepherds outside my region. I think that's one step I will take deliberately. I'm going to engage. Since everybody's virtual, even the Lagos all people are virtual. So if I can reach out to the Lagos all people digitally, I should be able to reach out to, for example, a shaper in South Africa or in the US. So I would be doing that personally, and I would also try to ensure that well, I still do the other activity because we're going to. I'm going to be limited, and there's the possibility of being sedentary a lot. So I'll deliberately, do some workouts, even in my room. Try to walk around the house. Try to walk around the house a bit more, so that I just don't get fatigue and don't get in a bad shape. So I'll deliberately try to do some walking around the house. I saw some funny pictures of somebody said, "How are you going to spend summer?" Then there was an image of how you will move from your bedroom to your living room, from the living room to the balcony. So I need to get used to my house and try to walk around a bit more. And also do more. Try to explore new things. So try to probably explore new movies. Try to Also doing the virtual hub meeting we had on Saturday. We thought of having a digital movie night. I think that would be interesting. So we're going to try that out. We'll try a digital movie night. So we're going to explore as much as possible what we can. I'm imagining, it's possible. It's also possible to have a virtual party. Maybe we'll try to explore that. We'll try to explore that. Yeah. So pretty much those are the things I think I would deliberately try to engage during this period to ensure that I'm able to, manage my mental health.
Yeah, definitely. I also see like I have now more time to do things like I was previously like postponing all the time, postponing and postponing. So we have the time, we should use it like very, very well. And yeah, and I also think I felt glad when I got to know that I have the opportunity to connect with you people, but it is sad to know it's for such a sad event, like what is happening, but like we're kind of like using the time and making the best out of this. So getting to an end, Avive, I would like to know like what you personally see in the future. Like we have talked already about the digital area, but what other changes you would see? And I also would like to know what is your hub contribution in this current situation?
So in terms of personally where I see the situation leading us to, gosh, there's so much. The positives is the stuff that I've already mentioned around building relationships in a more like authentic way, but also without the pressures of physical engagement, and also the opportunities to seize the world, the digital world, in terms of what we can do with it, equalizing our economies by using digital platforms and going into the digital world to decentralize all the systems and institutions that have just been held by just one group of people. And being innovative around that. I think also from a personal point of view, just in terms of what is my contribution in terms of the greater economy without barriers? And then also in terms of mental health, because I work in mental health, we've in the past week or so as my organization, we've also started finding innovative ways of how to continue providing a mental health service without being in physical contact with the people that we're serving. So it has also, for me as a young person, as a leader, has forced me to think creatively, but also be open to the extraordinary. As well, for our hub, what we have been doing at the moment has mostly been around communication and making sure that the various members of our society are able to at least get like correct information in a language they understand. So we've been translating into local language and also cross-hub collaboration, like what Jan just spoke about, being able to reach out now to other shapers and engaging them, cross-hub collaboration in terms of putting out the right information. We've also, in terms of our two-in projects that we already have in the hub around digital literacy, we've had to find ways of how do we support the young people that we're working with in terms of times of crisis right now, with providing them with the necessary hygiene tools. Many of them might not have cell phones. That's crazy, but because of the circumstances or the environments that they find themselves in, we're finding now ways of how do we continue supporting them, even though we're not able to provide a digital class to them where we bring them into a facility and actually teach them. So it's being open as a leader of like, okay, things might not go the way you want them to, but how do you ensure that you continue providing a service to people? And also in terms of our project for helping gender-based violence victims. So it's also, again, being how do we support them in terms of proper information getting to them and also giving them the necessary supplies during this time. We are very much open in terms of what more we can do as a hub. We've had a few conversations today and we will discuss these with the greater community in the next few days. But we are just looking at ways of how do we open ourselves up as a community and add our voice, but also listen to the voices of other people. How do we facilitate a place where even other shapers can engage with us and we can share information and even share the work that we're doing? There's also a really cool project that I saw shared with us on the curators platform this morning, a buddy system. So it's so cool. that we've got shapers from across the world. I know for a long time we've been pushing for shapers must engage with other shapers. Please reach out to people on TopLink, talk to them, find out what they do, how you guys can find synergies and work together. But I think this buddy system is actually creating a safe space for actually to start having those conversations and seeing where they take us and what we can make out of them.
Right. Yeah, it seems everything really clear, like the points. Laila, what's your opinion about like future aspects? What do you think? Can we expect in the future? And what is your hub providing to the common people, to internationally, to the people in this current situation?
Let's say about the future, I think we need to nurture this adaptability in our culture, because nothing is forever, and we should never take things for granted. We need to nurture the capacity of adaptability, and we need to be able to change and to adjust our systems to any environment. It's very important, because in this kind of situation, when we observe if we have a real backup plan management or not. The second thing, I think we need more to work on the opportunities we are seeing now, because as we talked about the business opportunities, the educational side, the startups, the initiatives on social media, I think all of these opportunities, we need to work on them. We need to capitalize on all this work, so we can try to find something solid and strong that we can develop after the crisis. Because if we lose this, we're gonna lose all the process of the transformation that we've been through thanks to this crisis. And that's a very important point. I think all the countries need to worry about that. Because we entered and we started this process without really willing to be there, but thanks to this crisis, we are already there. So I think that's one major point that we need to pay attention and to worry about. And of course, we need to be more grateful, because in such situations that we can really realize how much we take things for granted in our life. We don't realize every day that we have an amazing parents. We have very nice brothers and sisters and families and friends, because I really miss my friends at this time when I'm talking to you. I miss being with my friends outside. I miss really talking and meeting my friends. And that's very touching, really. That's something that we need to worry about. We need to be more grateful and to try to have the good habits, and to realize and thanks every time we spend it together, every time, every moment we gather and we talk about something. And the last thing, I'm happy to be part of this, our beautiful community, which is the Global Shapers. Why? Because we are part of, and we are all the same, and that's crazy. When I met the Global Shapers at the Geneva Summit this year, I just realized that I have like 400 people like me, and I was not where I never realized that. I was always complaining that no one is like me, but I found 400. Oh my God. And that's amazing. So think and just realize that we are part of this network. We're part of these people, that we have the same mindset. We can do things in a quick, really, in just we can think about something on a WhatsApp group and we try to implement it and it's done. So we need to really work on that. We need to work together very often, and especially in this kind of situations, we try to do things very quickly, and it works. We are doing a campaign with all the Moroccan hubs, and it's been less than 1 week, and we are implementing the things already. We're trying to do something with African hubs, and we are working on it. And the number of people who just took the initiative, oh yeah, we can do this and we can do, that's amazing. So working in this kind of communities is very, very important for us, because we learn from other countries. We learn from how we can do things locally, how we can adjust those things locally. But the idea is to be able to suggest things in our local countries. I learned a lot from the others, and I have a lot of solutions and some alternatives that I want to suggest here because they will work. How to be able to have this, let's say, this power to suggest things and to implement things together here. And that's important. So if we are many hubs in one country, we can have some impact. Because if we are working together, we're going to be more strong, we're going to be strong, and we're going to be able to suggest things and to implement things. And that's I think that's the most important things and the most major advantage as the Global Shapers community.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. And I also agree in that we should just like fill in the blanks right now in this situation. Like we have loopholes, we don't know what to do with the time, or we don't know how to manage some things at the moment, but we really should work on them and on the future aspect. Okay, thank you so much. Yanju, what's your opinion about like the future? What you think how this is gonna what it is gonna lead to, and what are your aspects or what are your plans as a hub how to tackle on this situation?
Yeah, so first, let me speak about the local perspective. So from the Nigerian view, I think the whole event that's happening right now will greatly influence the health sector in Nigeria. So one of the sector where I think the government needs to do a lot of work is the health sector, and it's interesting. The reason why I think this would affect is because so what happens usually in the country is that a lot of the leaders, whenever they have health conditions, they travel out of the country. They travel to the UK or the US to get medical attention. But guess what? This time, nobody can go anywhere. So, I mean, even the political leaders, they don't have a choice but to make use of the hospitals that are in the country. So I think this is the first time, this is happening. I mean, I'm sure they never thought this would happen. I mean, nobody would ever, after the battle, there'll be a time when you'll be sick and there's no option of traveling abroad to get a better health system. Then you have no choice but to stay in your country. So I think for that reason, this would greatly influence that sector. I think after now, the government will have no choice but to give priority to ensuring that we have very good health care here in the country. And I think that is a big plus because that is one space that needs to be well developed. I mean, access to good health should be a basic human right for every individual. So I'm happy that after this, I think yes, that would be greatly influenced locally for Nigeria. But I think even globally, I think globally also, especially for the developing countries, well, I think a lot of the governments will be giving priority to the health sector, knowing that this is very, very important. Also, I remember I saw, I don't know if this is true, but I remember I saw a picture on Instagram where a scientist, I think in Germany, was being questioned about, how soon are we going to get the vaccine for the COVID-19? And she said, why not go and meet Ronaldo and tell him to get you the vaccine for COVID-19? So I think this would also influence a lot of profession. So maybe before now, we've not been giving priority to some important profession globally. So, maybe scientists or the medical practitioners have not been treated fairly as they ought to. I think this would cause a big shift. I think a lot of the countries would now be focusing on a lot of sensitive, professional field right now. A lot of professional field will be receiving, the needed attention that they need to receive. People will now be aware of the need, to give priority to some field, some professionals that are really helping us, that are helping the human race, in general. So yes, I think it would also affect, generally some profession. Then, like I said earlier, also is going to influence technology a big deal. A lot of the technological platforms and products that we're exposed to will be optimized. Will be optimized for even better use. I see even some innovative ideas coming out of these. There will be some new inventions. There will be some new features on some existing products. So I mean, this would influence innovation in general, and I think also this will create innovation even in almost every space, across every space. Because right now, every sector will be thinking about how they can optimize their operational process. What this means is that there'll be innovation across. There'll be innovation across every sector, and I think that's the plus. That's part of the plus. Every sector will definitely be greatly influenced by this, with different innovations that would come out of it. Thinking about how to work better, thinking about how to make your operations more effective. Then also, I think this would also influence politics. So in general, we've seen how different leaders have responded in situations like this. So what this means is that when the next election is coming up in all of our countries, we'll be thinking about leaders that will be able to effectively respond when such scenarios like this come up. So I think this would also influence politics. This would even create the consciousness in citizens to be active during election. I'm sure maybe some citizens in their country are not happy with the way their leaders might have responded. I'm sure this will create the awareness, and we would all know that it is we all need to fulfill our civic rights. I'm sure this will also create civic responsibility consciousness in every citizen, and I think that is also a plus. I'm sure by the time all the countries are happy their next general election, a huge number of people would really be interested in knowing who the next leader will be. Because I think this has created a global panic. Everybody's scared. There's the feeling like, oh, something big is happening, and I'm sure we don't want this to happen next time. So this would create that consciousness in the minds of everyone, and everybody will be conscious of their of the civic responsibilities. And I think as Global Shapers community, as speaking for the Lagos Hub also, I think especially with some of the initiatives we are already embarking on right now, we are doing a lot in terms of communication, especially for these issues. I think this would also, we're already establishing some new partnership by virtue of this. Already, this has led us to engage the Center of Disease in our country. This has led us to engage some medical experts in our country. I believe that some of this relationship would bet new projects even after this pandemic ends. I already see that new initiatives will come up. I already see probably the hub taking up some ideas that will help manage things when situations like this come up in the future. So I see some partnerships that are being established now, that will lead to new initiatives in the future. And I think that is a good thing. Then also, I think we would also be taking advantage of this whole event that is happening now to also engage organizations on how they can effectively, be socially responsible. So one of the initiatives we are planning to embark on is, so we want to do like an opinion post that will highlight what private organizations can be doing to help the less privileged in the society. Because in this period where we have to stay at home, where we have to stock up, some people cannot stock up because they don't have the financial power to stock up. So I think it's an opportunity to us to engage private organizations on how to support, the less privileged in the society. This is an opportunity for us to engage organizations on the contributions they can be, making in their community to help people that that don't even have the means, to be able to do what some of us are privy to. I remember yesterday, I was talking to my hub members, and I'm saying that, and I was telling them that I'm able to stay in my house because I have the means to be able to stock up. I have the means to be able to ensure that all my needs are being taken care of inside the house. There's a huge population in our country that if they don't go out in a day, they won't be able to feed themselves. If they don't go out in a day, they won't be able to make the money to feed themselves. So this also is an opportunity for us, to come up with initiatives to address, some of these pertinent issues, as empowering people largely. And I think also beyond even the global shapers, I believe a lot of organizations are also thinking like this. This is like a reawakening from everybody. So people are already thinking about this, that really there's the need for us to empower, even the less privileged around us. So I believe that after this whole event, there will be beds of initiatives, that will empower, those that are not, as advantage as we have. I believe a lot of people will be coming up with initiative to ensure that we have a balance, across our communities. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I definitely agree with all three of you. And I also think, like I already said, there are a lot of blanks that have yet to be filled in. But I think with the time, like how the time is continuing, they will definitely fill in. There are some things that have to be managed, and still there is that public fear and hysteria that is like leading towards some other facts too. But in the future, definitely this will coin the future, kind of, if I can say it like this, and have a huge impact on future benchmarks and perceptions. So yeah, I definitely agree with all three of you. So leading to an end, I would like to ask all of you once, Avive, you have a final word, like for all the people out there, for what message would you like to convey to the people?
Wow. I'd like to...
Hello? Aviva is right on a preachable. Okay, I would, Aviva, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, okay, sure. Please speak.
So I was saying, in this moment, it's a lesson for us to actually go profits. So I really encourage everyone to run business from their human perspective, engage with the environment from a perspective that we're all part of nature. One of my favorite called Lion King, actually, the part where Mufasa speaks circle of life and being able to respect the different entities within the circle of life. And I think this has been such a lesson in terms of seeing the impact in terms of creation. We're also seeing the impact in terms of technology, in terms of inequalities being
I think there are some issues with the network. Okay, I think there are some issues with her network. Laila, would you like to continue? We can get back to you later.
We can.
Sure.
Okay, Laila, you continue. I will get back to Viva later.
Okay. Yeah. So maybe the last message to say today in our session is, actually, I would love to see our leaders more responsible, because being responsible or the concept of responsible leadership is it's very huge, but we can see the impact in such situation. Let's think about things do the things the way they should be done. Let's give the opportunity to our young people to work together and to suggest things and to implement things and new initiatives. Let's empower them and help them to grow and give them the chance to show that they have something to say. Because that's the things that we are missing in our countries, not only in Africa, but in different continents. We are not enough empowered by our leaders, by our government, in order to suggest things and implement things. And most of the time, we have the solution, but we are not enough empowered to give this solution. So that's my message. That's my message, actually. Please, we have a voice, of course, when we are part of community like a global shapers, but I hope that in our local countries our voices will be heard. Yeah.
Sure, I can feel it's kind of the same here, but things are changing. I feel like people are getting more aware of and are recognizing our voices too. But it takes some time. Definitely,
yeah.
We are a bit in other countries, but I hope too that this is gonna be implemented very, very soon. Thank you.
I hope so. Thank you.
Yanju, what's your last message at the very end of this conversation?
Yeah, so I think this just reminds us to to have that empathy, looking around us, we realize that some of us have some privileges. Some of us can afford to stay indoors. We can afford to work from home, and we can afford to stay indoor and stock up our house for the next 2 months or more. But not everybody, sorry, not everybody have the privilege. Yeah. So I mean, this time just reminds us that there are some people in our communities that don't have the advantage that we have. They don't have the privilege of being able to stock up their house. They don't have the privilege of staying indoor and be rest assured that there is something in your bank account that would take care of you, while you're stay at home last. So I think this is an opportunity for us to just remind ourselves of the need to ensure that there is we have an equal to a large extent we can have an equal world. To a large extent we can bridge the gap between the haves and don't haves. I think this reminds us of that. This also is an opportunity for world leaders to be conscious about that fact and ensure that we have a world that that is inclusive, that recognizes those that are disadvantaged and ensure that we're able to bring them up to at least close to the level of a lot of those that have the advantages. And I think this is an opportunity for us to also speak to our women's side and ensure that be mindful of what is important, what matters most in terms of our family, in terms of our friends. This is also an opportunity for us to remind ourselves about what matters most. Yes, work is important, but a lot of the time we neglect the important things, and because of the daily activities we do. So I think we should all take this opportunity to have a deep reflection and just use this opportunity to start to give cognizance and start to give attention to those things that we've neglected before now.
Yeah.
And importantly also for everybody, for us to be responsible leaders to the head, responsible leaders even for organizations. This is an opportunity for organizations to to remind themselves that there's the need for them to be responsible leaders in their community. There's the need for organizations to be socially responsible, and this period reminds us of that. And I hope by the end of all this, everybody would be responsible. It is the responsibility. It's about me. It's not just about the world leaders. Is every one of us. It is the action that we all take. I'm sure we realize that every one of us have been contributors to how our earth has been, how our world has been, and I believe this reminds us of that, and we would all consciously take the effort to be responsible with our activities henceforth after this period. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Aviva, can you hear me? Okay, I waited a bit. Maybe she will respond. So what I would like to say, first of all, I would like to thank all of you for participating, taking the time, and being here with me. It is of major importance that people know that we are in these times together and we should support each other. And I really agree with Ayandu that we should be aware of our responsibility. We can farm them by doing those little things actually, like in this situation, just stay at home, don't go out. Like I see young people going out and saying like they're not the virus don't have has a huge impact on them, so we can go out. But no, you are contributing to the spread of the virus. So there are like those responsibilities you should be aware of. And yeah, and it is a time where obviously we are a bit we feel anxiety, we are distressed, we are panicked, but also we can utilize this time to benefit ourselves for matters of like things you couldn't do and can do now, for spending time with your family. And yeah, it's a time of deep reflection. Also, what is really important to me, because the picture of Venice and the river, that like hit me really hard, because when I saw that, so we should really reconsider all these things. Those are really, really important. Aviva, can you hear me?
Yes, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. There was like some
Okay.
issue.
I keep getting kicked out, but my closing words are, we just need to go back to the SDGs. We've got 17 sustainable development goals that we've all been speaking about, and we need to make these a reality for everyone. And I think times of crisis have heightened how much these are not a reality for everyone. There's so much inequality. There's so much in terms of basic services that people are not getting, human right that they're supposed to have. So I think in closing, that's just the most important thing, from an individual level, from an institutional level, from communities like our own. We need to like really make the SDGs a personal responsibility, and we have to make them a personal reality for every single human being on earth.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you. So I think that's the very end, whereby I really think there were so many things we could have discussed so much more in depth, but obviously it's about the time. I'm having like 1 a.m. in the morning in half an hour. So yeah, I would like to thank you, all three. You gave me the time, and it is a really, I hope it turns out to be beneficial for all of us. And we should, like, what I would like to say is that we are all in this together, and we should like support each other, like I already said. And I hope that I can get in touch with you really soon again to like for kind of an update. And yeah, let's see how things turn around. And I really hope that you all stay healthy and safe. And that's it from my side, actually.
Thank you for having us. Really nice time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us, Sarat.
Sure, it was great.
Thank you so much. And guys, I was so happy to see you and to see your faces again. So since Geneva, we didn't met. I hope we get a bit very soon. I hope that the situation will be very soon closed, and we can even make it to the Shape Africa.
Yeah. We're looking forward to hosting all of you. Lagos.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Yeah, stay safe.
Bye-bye.
Bye.